Thanks, Monica. So everything is broken. What a wonderful time to be alive. I'm just going to let that sit there and let you think about it, and we're going to talk about that a little later. Monica gave a little bit of background on me. Just some history is I spent 15 years in corporate philanthropy, majority of them as the VP of all things fun, meaningful, and rewarding at the Salesforce Foundation. And now I find myself 14 months into another awesome job as head of Myriad in Sydney. So 14 months in the country, 14 months in the role. And as head, I call myself the head human API, where I connect people and resources to help founders be successful. So Myriad is an accelerator backed by Telstra. We're fostering entrepreneurism and innovation across Australia and Asia Pacific. So that's my day job. Why am I here today? Actually, two reasons. One, when Vicki and I were talking a couple months ago, I was down in Melbourne, we were FaceTiming, and a kangaroo hopped up to listen to the conversation. It's not a drop bear story, this is true. So it was a sign that we had to do what we're about to launch today and share with you today. And then the second reason I'm here is I want to start a movement. Actually, I want to continue a movement. There's a wonderful TED Talk by Derek Sievers, How to Start a Movement. Has anyone seen this? It's a 3-minute TED Talk. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have seen it, check it out again. It's a great reminder. What the video is, it's a man at a festival, at a music festival, lone nut, just dancing shirtless amongst these other people sitting on the grass. And he's simple, easy to follow. He stands out. He's the lone nut. Until one person gets up to show us how easy it is to follow him and validates him as a leader. So he's no longer this lone nut. There's two people there. By the end of the video, everyone on the grass has stood up to join this movement and be a part of it. So it was very easy to follow. So my side job, what I'm doing now is, in addition to taking this model of helping entrepreneurs be successful, I want to focus a lot on women entrepreneurs, both women to be investors and contributors and women who are entrepreneurs, and help bring this model that Vicki's about to share with you to Australia. So let me introduce you to my friend and lone nut from yesterday, because she's all the way in Toronto, Vicki Saunders. Just a quick background on Vicki. She's co-founded and run ventures in Europe, Toronto, and Silicon Valley, and brought a company public on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and now she's dipping her foot in the Australia ecosystem. She was recently named one of 100 most influential leaders in 2015 from empowering a billion women, alongside Marissa Mayer, Michelle Obama, Sheryl Sandberg, and Melinda Gates. She was also selected in 2001 to be the global leader for tomorrow at the World Economic Forum. So without further ado, and the technology working, she's not on the large screen.
Woohoo.
Hey guys in the back, I can only see her in the front. Can we put her on the large screen? There she is. Thank you. Everything is working now.
Yay.
You're on, Vicki.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Jules. How are you?
Good.
Excellent. All right. So I am here to share a little bit about SheEO, and I'm thrilled to be here. Julie shared a little bit about my story. I actually founded an incubator and accelerator way back in the early 90s. And took it public on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And I have been a serial entrepreneur pretty much forever. I am totally and completely unemployable by anyone else. And one of the things that I've always had as a core feature of everything I've done is, how do we create a better world with a business model attached to it? So how do you do good and make money at the same time? And many years ago, this was not a cool thing to do. Everyone was in the black and white world of, you make your money and then you give it away. But thankfully, the world has caught up, and now everybody's really trying to find these business models that solve major problems that we're facing in the world. And that's an area that I'm absolutely obsessed with. And I've worked with governments, with looking at expert think tanks around how you track the impact of our innovation investments, looking at individual impact, system change, behavior change. And through all of these different companies that I've launched and initiatives that I've been part of, my summary, as Julie said earlier, is I literally think this is where we are right now. Everything is broken. Most of the systems and structures we have in place are created for another time and another place. and we need to rethink them. But because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a super optimistic person, there's always a second part to my sentence of everything's broken, which is what a great time to be alive. And this is actually a muscle that I think we all need to build, which is we see something that's not positive or that's a challenge, and you flip it around to like, how can you do something with that? So everything's broken, what a great time to be alive. If you're a creator or a maker or an entrepreneur, right now it's your nirvana, because there's so many things that we need to shift. And the biggest thing I think that we need to really work on is our mindset. And that mindset, the focus that most of us have out there in the world is winner takes all. It is the mantra we have everywhere. Go big or go home. If you don't win the market, it's not worth even starting. I work with a lot of universities and schools, and I hear people saying things like, oh, how's that idea going to scale? Before even someone started. I mean, who knows how things are going to scale? So this obsession with like winning everything has created a world where 5 people right now have the same wealth as 3.5 billion people on the planet. When I started SheEO 2 years ago, it was 85 people had the same wealth as half the planet. Last year it was 62, now it's 5. And this is so problematic for the world, this accumulation of capital in the small hands. And the challenge is there's so much capital. When the markets crashed in 2008 in the United States, they found $17 trillion to bail out the banks in 3 weeks. There's so much money out there, $17 trillion. And $17 trillion is the equivalent of 600 years without hunger on the planet. We found money to do that in 3 weeks. So as when people say, oh, there's not enough money or we don't have enough resources, I just call bogus on that. Like there's a ton of money out there. It's just that we're really stuck with this crazy sort of mindset of how to use it and to win markets. And if it's really challenging at that top economic level, it's really painful for women as well. These statistics are becoming better known every day now, but 4% of venture capital goes to women. Less than 1% of corporate procurement is going to women on ventures, and it costs us $12 trillion a year in GDP loss because of it. So that is a challenge, but it's also a massive, huge opportunity. And just to be clear, like this 4% of venture capital going to women are not a niche, right? We're literally 50% of the population. So it's a very big opportunity. Yeah. And so, my summary of all of this is really like, we made this up. We made up the model we're sitting in. We made up the assumptions we have out there, so we can change it. And now is the time more than ever. And one of the things that I've sort of learned over the last few years is, many years actually, and this is my favorite quote, is really, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So what is the reset button that's going to get us to this new world? And for us, one of the things that we start with is a very different philosophy, is moving from this concept of winner takes all to a collective economy. What would that look like? And to go from this concept of like, you have to go big or you go home, to how could we succeed on our own terms? And from control to trust. Like all of these things are big shifts that need to happen. And these are all really built into our SheEO philosophy, which I'll walk you through. So one of the things I want to start with, and I don't know if you have the same term in Australia that we do in North America. It's a very negative term that is called an Indian giver. I don't know if people know that term, but it's a concept that is like someone who gives a gift and then comes and asks for the gift back. It's a very derogatory term, but the underlying story behind it was when the white man came to North America, to Turtle Island, they were given gifts by the indigenous people, because in their culture, giving a gift is a way of creating a relationship. And we did a very curious thing to them with the gifts. We held on to them for ourselves. And for them, that was very out of their culture. So they came and asked for the gifts back because we were doing it wrong. And in fact, what we're supposed to do with a gift in Indigenous culture is when you get it, you hold on to it for a while, you use it, and then you pass it on to somebody else. So the relationship stays in cycle. And that's what the potlatch is, this continuous cycle and flowing of relationship and capital, or whatever that is. So that collective economy is you accumulate stuff, you hold on to it for a while, you use it for yourself, and then you give it away. And so I started playing with this concept of what would it look like if capital was in flow instead of sitting in the hands of 5 people. And then we tied that into this concept of radical generosity, which is a culture underneath everything we're doing. In business today, it's generally like an excuse to treat people poorly. Oh, it's just business. But what if we actually were radically generous with each other and supporting each other? And this is something I think that women need. I think the whole planet needs it desperately, but I think in particular, creating a safe space to ask for help and ask for support is really core to a new kind of world that we can live in, being actually nice to each other, shockingly. And so those two concepts were really critical. And then I looked at these assets that we have that are really under leveraged. Like, women are making 80% of purchasing decisions. If they actually put their money towards things that made a difference, that would really change things. And we're set to inherit 75% of the largest wealth transfer ever. So I kind of looked at all these things. I mashed it up in a new combination of innovation and created this model, which is pretty unique. And at SheEO, what we do is 500 activators, where we don't call you an investor, we call you an activator, because you're activating your network and your capital and your expertise. You contribute $1,100. It gets pooled together in a fund and then is loaned out at 0% interest to 5 female entrepreneurs who are selected by the 500 women. And then that money is paid back over 5 years into the fund and loaned out again. And so the cool part of this is that you, as a venture, if you're selected, get 500 women on your team. So you go from this place of isolation, feeling like you're all alone, to all of a sudden that money is in your hands, and then 500 women helping you, and you get all kinds of support as you go through this. One of our companies is called Sacha Organics, and it's started by an Indigenous woman here who she didn't even start out to create a business. She was trying to solve a problem. Her daughter had very, very bad eczema, and she wanted to solve it. So she was a journalist. She did research. She talked to elders, and she went out online and she found a number of ingredients that put it together in a crock pot. I mean, these are like the kinds of amazing stories that happen in the world. And put it on her daughter, and 2 days later, everything went away. And so she went on her Facebook group and said, do any other moms have issues like this? I have extra left over in my crock pot. Do you want to try it? And it was a raging success. So then she made 3 crock pots, and now she's in every drugstore across Canada, 2,400 drugstores, and expanding globally. And again, this is just one of these, I wanted to solve this problem, I got behind it. When she was selected in our network, so many women got behind her, now helping her expand. And she's about to build a production facility on Indigenous land and hire Indigenous people to help her scale this business. Another venture that we've selected is Heartbeat AI, artificial intelligence that tracks empathy within customers. It's this whole new group of empathy AI that's starting to come along, which is really, really fascinating. And so it tracks brand sentiment. And the images that are up here are what people feel when they make their contributions to SheEO. Tons of joy, trust, a little bit of sadness that we actually have to be doing this, a bit of anger, because like, really, do we still have to be doing this in 2018? And this is a fascinating product that's actually, or service that's actually in Australia, and people are using it there. So those are 2 examples of ventures that were selected and voted on by the women in our network. One of the things that's really crazy about what we do is we trust the intuition of 500 women to decide which companies to pick. And so that is a really different model as opposed to putting 5 experts in a room and selecting. And the reason we do that is because if 500 women go online and vote for the kinds of companies they care about that are going to change the world, and they put their buying power and their expertise behind them, those companies are going to thrive. So we're using that buying power piece as part of our model. Our ventures are getting whatever they need within 24 hours of their asks right now. So the growth is off the charts. It's this crazy on-demand network. And that's leading to triple-digit success, revenue growth. And women in our network are now becoming follow-on investors. So we've created this sort of virtuous cycle of selecting things that you care about that are making a difference, helping them grow, then follow-on investing. And our whole model is 500 women per region, and our goal is to get to 1 million women. So it's a distributed global network. So when ventures are selected in Australia, the goal is that they will be connected to our other markets, and that's a really easy way to export and grow your businesses. Another venture is Callisto, which is a reporting app for sexual assault, which is being rolled out on campuses around the world. And she just won the school award for social entrepreneurship, $1 million prize, which is unbelievable. She's great. You can see all of these on our website at sheeo.world. 21 Toys is one of Julie's favorites. It's an empathy toy, which they're using in banks, in schools, in companies around the world to train their employees on empathy. So that was another great one that we love. as I mentioned earlier, the outcomes are pretty amazing. We started a few years ago, 3 years ago. We have 3,000 activators and $3 million loaned out to 32 ventures who are growing very rapidly, creating lots of jobs, and raising follow-on capital. And our goal is to get to 1 million women and $1 billion perpetual fund that will loan out to 10,000 female entrepreneurs every year forever. This is this constant rolling forward of capital that we will leave as a legacy in the world. And we are thrilled to be launching in Australia today. And we would love it if you would be part of this.
So I just want to add, for me, it was very exciting talking to Vicki and hearing about this model. I just had to be one of those first followers. So I was one of 5 women in the US to help launch it in there from the San Francisco city of San Francisco. And I find this to be a gateway drug to investing, to activating with my money, and I just felt abundance appeared. And with that, we actually have 2 women from the US. So if Heather McKenzie and Ariane would stand up, we have a venture right here. So when you see them, talk to them about. So Heather helped launch it in Denver, and Ariana's one is the first CEO Ventures in the US, which it has a great company called Kiddables. If you're a maker and you have kids, or if you're an adult who is a kid, it's a great company. And I am actually been a customer of majority of these companies that have been selected by CEO. So it shows that network and the relation, not just the product and as a buyer and a purchaser in my network. I have found a lot of amazing women that have stepped up. And ventures that might not be selected are still in this network to get help. So it's infectious, and I really do hope that you join as follow the lone nut and make this a movement in Australia. So the big announcement is, as Vicki mentioned, great pleasure to announce that Telstra and CBA have stepped up to support the launch of SheEO in Australia. So thank you, CBA and Telstra. If you please register, sign up. So the portal should be open in about 3 weeks, so you can contribute your money as an activator and to support entrepreneurs in a better world. And there's 2 things that I want to add. The application, it's 12 simple questions if you're a venture. They're 12 simple, easy questions. And as an activator reviewing these, there's usually tears because it's so moving. One of the questions is, when did you once experience radical generosity? So they're really human-centric, beautiful applications. And the other thing that's really quite interesting is once the ventures are selected, and you can talk to Ariana about this experience, they go away for a weekend, they have coaches, so they get coaching throughout their whole time in the portfolio. There's brought away, and they're like, here's your pool of money, here's your $500,000. Now you need to decide how to divide it up. And it can't all go to one person, and it can't be divided evenly. Because women will get in a room like, oh, let's just split it evenly. So it was practicing negotiation, it was supporting one another, and it's a fascinating experience. And no, they haven't recorded it, it's not on TV, so I don't know exactly what goes on there. So we encourage you to register your interest, to share with friends, to tweet this out. There's lots of information and resources on the website. Once you do register, we promise to send out information when the portal is open. All right, who's in? Who is in? All right. Tell your friends, wives, sisters, cousins, aunts, and we want to get diversity of age, of culture. It is an amazing movement. Oh, by the way, New Zealand also launched. And while we can make this a little bit of a competitive opportunity. How many in New Zealand? How many activators showed up in New Zealand? Vicki?
440.
440. So I think Australia can blow that away. And then if we want to set up a little friendly competition between states, because I've noticed there's a lot of competition between states, the goal is to get 500 activators at least. And in April, we'll have a gala. And the state that has the most activators will host the gala there. And Vicki will come in person and with her team. And it's a wonderful full day experience. So with that, Monica, mic please. Everything is broken. Mic please. Check, check. All right. If there's questions, we might have, let's do some questions. Are there questions? We got front row right here. Beautiful movement. Can men be involved? Vicki, I know you get this question all the time. I'm going to let Vicki answer this one. And
yeah. We'd be very happy to take your money. And
your networks?
And actually, yeah. And what we do ask is that you put in the name, have a woman in your network join as part of that contribution. So your daughter, wife, a venture that you're working with, we want to have a network full of women supporting each other as part of this. And so we'd be very grateful for that.
In men supporting women, we can't do it without the men. I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman in San Francisco who got it as a gift for his girlfriend. Made her an activator for her birthday.
So any other questions? We've got about 5 minutes, so let's not waste the time of both Vicki and Julie. Has anyone got a burning question? I've got one. What kind of ventures? Like we saw the skincare one. Is it any particular sort of venture?
Vicki, do you want to?
Yeah, so the ventures need to be revenue generating. So they have to have between 50K and $1 million-ish in revenue when they apply. The bottom is 50K. They have to be majority woman-owned, woman-led, and be able to answer the question of how they're creating a better world. So, but we're sector agnostic, we're structure agnostic. As long as you can pay back a 0% interest loan over 5 years, you can apply.
Mark Paddenberg, Innovation Centre, Sunshine Coast. Just a question about Australian female founders looking to scale into the US. What sort of runway support, capacity buildings on offer through CEO for that?
Runway support.
Yeah, so again, one of the financial component is only one piece of this. The thing that is really interesting, if you're trying to go to market in other countries, it's generally really challenging. Going through consulates, going through traditional structures, and we know that there's a lot of unconscious bias in some of those. And so what we've noticed with our ventures is when they want to, for example, if you're selected in Australia and you want to go to the US market or the Canadian market, the women in those networks are super plugged in. We're literally one step removed from whoever you need, and we're helping each other go to market. So we're noticing that our companies, all of our companies are exporting and growing much more rapidly because they have that ease of getting into market in other places. So that's a big focus of us, of everything that we do, is the export potential.
Hi Vicki, my name is Bernard Schockman, nice to meet you. My partner is making skin products at the moment. I have had a condition for most of my life around eczema, so when you put up something like that, anyway, long story short, she's making these products for me, but they are awesome, and I want to actually buy her this is a gift so she can become involved in the circles and hopefully make those products available to other people. So I'm guessing that's the sort of thing that could contribute to I guess a business.
That's fantastic.
That. Awesome, thank you. Cheers.
That's just absolutely fantastic. Lovely, yeah, and I think just to add to that, one of the things that's really incredible is that the activators in the network are contributing this capital and is being loaned out to the ventures. But the activators are all in a network together in an online community, and they're asking each other for support and supporting each other too. So it's a giant network of radically generous women helping each other to grow their businesses, to support each other. Not everyone is a business owner, not everyone's an entrepreneur. Many people just really want to be part of this kind of a community where you're supporting each other. And currently the activators in the network are ages 14 to 93. So we have mothers, daughters, and grandmothers all in this together, selecting companies together and being part of this process.
Yep, my mom activated. Yeah.
I have one last question.
Yes.
And I totally think you guys rock. I'm a huge fan of the power, but also the intelligence of women and doing things in a way that's maybe smarter or different. It's not about better or worse. But I have a question, right? I've been in a number of committees where I have all women, and we can sometimes be a bit chaotic, and we can sometimes be a bit, everyone wants to have their say. And when I think about 500 women helping my venture, tell me about how your interfaces and things smooth that out, right? So that we take away any noise or any, so that the founder is free to do what they do, and they're really given support but not overwhelmed with 500 almost stakeholders.
Yeah, well, so first of all, the 500 women are all very busy. And so I thought about this a lot too, because I'm an entrepreneur that doesn't want to be told what to do by, you have to meet my friend Susie, and you have to, I thought, but that's not what's actually happening at all. We have a process where there's an ask each month. So the ventures say, this is my biggest business need. So they don't get bombarded with people trying to give them advice. Here's what I need right now. And that gets responded to within 24 hours.
Ariane, do you want to answer how this has been for you since you've been in it for a year? Come on up.
Yeah, do you want me to just address that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I never ran into that issue. Honestly, kind of like in all things, it's self-selecting. So it's not like I'm getting 500 messages every day from 500 different women. On this Facebook group or email, I send out something, and the person that feels usually most connected with that is going to reach out. And one of the things I've also noticed is there's more like a home team advantage, if you will. So I don't know about here in Australia, but in the United States, we have like sports teams. We have like the football team per state. Yeah. Here, maybe you guys have the same thing. And it's kind of similar like that. Like you root for your home team. So one of the things that we kind of do is, like there's Canadian ventures, there's US ventures, there's going to be Australian ventures, New Zealand ventures, and everybody has their own group. And it's kind of like you're voting or rooting for your home team. So you only really get bombarded by those people. That being said, I've had a lot of Canadian people help me out too. Interesting story about a package getting stuck in customs, and I ended up having to email a Canadian venture, and they helped me through.
Yeah.
But it's very organic. It doesn't feel overwhelming at all.
There you go. There's your answer. That goes back to Monica. All right.
Very cool. One last question. Anyone in the audience?
We've had Thank you. Female question. Thank you.
I'm Katie here from Eco Enterprises. Yeah, better? Cool. So I'm just curious what happens. I'm sure that you get lots of applications for the funding and whatnot. Is there a support or mentorship program for people who don't quite hit that level of acceptance? And as far as getting support to get up to the 50K a year, is there support for that, or is it just the winner gets all?
Yeah.
Vicki.
Great. So yes. So the way it works is every single person who applies gets personalized feedback on their application. So because 500 women are going online and voting, we encourage them to leave comments, and they can also check a box which says, if this person isn't selected as one of the final ventures, would you be willing to help them, invest in them, be an advisor? And so people check that box. So everyone who applies gets multiple bits of personalized feedback and maybe finds an investor or a supporter. The top 25 get access to the whole network, and then the top 5 get coaching, funding, and access to the network. And for those who are less than 50,000 in revenue, we have a learning lab online with different themes each month, and you can join in on those. They're free. Our next one is next week. You can just sign up on our website. And after you go through those learning labs with experts on different topics, you get put in a Slack channel with all the other entrepreneurs that are in that channel to get support. So it becomes a peer-to-peer network to ask for help. So we're trying to be radically generous in every single way we can to help the next generation of ventures that are coming along. So I hope you'll sign up.
And I do also want to add that you can be an activator and a venture. So if you're an activator and you apply as a venture and you don't get in, you're still in the network as an activator. Right.
Excellent. So, ladies, our time has come to an end.
Fantastic.
Do we start with a dance or some sort of a cheer squad? Is there like a thing we need to do?
Radical generosity.
She-E-O, which is kind of apt for the next guy. It's very kind of jock and kind of. Our next speaker is all about the football, right? So thank you very much, all of you. Ariane is a great networker from. She came on the plane with us from San Francisco. So she's a journeyman, a part of the Myriad Air. She's also a member of the Boulder, Colorado community, which is very aligned to what we're doing here in Queensland and particularly in Brisbane. They're a very much give first community. They support each other. It's about growing really successful ventures, not so much about burning and churning. They really think about the humans in the process. So if you get a chance, find Ariane, let's have a chat, talk to the people in the Boulder movement.
Myself,
with
Heather.
Yeah, Heather
here.
Mackenzie, can you stand up for a minute, Heather? Heather's another awesome contributor from that community. I just like to shout them out. She's been doing some wonderful work around the state. Find Heather. You'll find them both on social media. They're awesome. So thank you so much,
Monica.
Julie, for bringing this to us. We are beyond excited. My whole social media is just full of women going, get me in, get me in.
Awesome.
Right?
And we'll get Vicki down here.
And Vicki, we can't wait. We honestly cannot wait to see you down here in the flesh. And we're really uber excited to see you here and launching SheEO in Australia.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.